So as watch collecting gets more popular and more people are wearing watches, we wanted to go over 5 basic tips for wearing a watch. All right, so which hand do you wear your watch on? It all depends on you. Most people stick to putting it on the non-dominant hand. So where I'm righty, I usually keep it on my left. Some people just enjoy keeping it on their right hand. Doesn't really matter, whatever the preference is for you. I suggest keeping it out though. I know I have seen people who do the interior watch. This one I find to be more dangerous in terms of scratching and nicking and banging your watch into stuff. You're also not showing it off, and it's a different, more unique kind of move. So for me, whichever hand is non-dominant, and then I like to keep it on the outside. Where should you position the watch on your wrist? I like to put it slightly above my wrist bump right here, and I keep the gauge so that it's actually semi-tight and doesn't move around. It's very easy when you have a leather strap or rubber strap to get the gauge correctly because this one doesn't move around. If you start keeping it loose, like a bracelet, anywhere where it's loose enough to make a full rotation around your wrist, it's too loose. And this really ties into when you get a steel bracelet. If you have a watch with a steel bracelet, comes out of the box, it's gonna have all the links in there. And I've seen people who just boom, click, put it on, and it's flopping around their wrist like a bracelet. You don't wanna do that. You wanna make sure you have the right amount of links, the right gauge on it, and the right position. Now, watches are similar to the attire you're going to wear. So for example, if you're gonna go play sports, you can wear something as simple as a digital. Golf, this one works perfect for. If you're gonna be going to something like a job interview, you're gonna wanna wear something that's a little more formal, a little more cleaner, and a little more classic. It can be something on a rubber or a leather strap. You can even do something with a steel bracelet, and there's plenty of affordable options in this area of watch that you can wear. So when I went to my first job interview, I actually wore this Seiko Arctura, which not a horribly expensive model, but has a really cool, unique look. Was one of my first kind of dress watches that I had, and actually I got a compliment from the guy interviewing me about my watch. You really can't go wrong with kind of a dressier dive watch that's really universal. Rolex Submariners, of course, always fit into this. Omega Planet Oceans. Any of the Seamasters, of course. Anything that's a chronograph, a sport watch, also translate into a pretty dress up, and you can dress down. So the size of a watch face can really depend on your own personality and your own yourself. I mean, like, smaller wrists can accommodate, believe it or not, pretty large Panerais if you want to, which are like 40 to 45. For me personally, I think 40 millimeters to 42 millimeters is the sweet spot. Again, I'm like a 6-foot male, 170 pounds. But for a lot of people out there, anything between 36 and up to, we'll say, even as high as 48 can fit. It's all depends on your style. So a 40 is, again, that's one of the sweet spots. It fits most wrists perfectly. Lug to lug is always gonna be pretty agreeable as well. That's some of the ones that you'll find most of the diver and chronos use. Going to the top end, again, I don't have a Panerai with me, but I have an IWC, which is up to 45, which is quite large. But again, it'll still fit on the wrist. You just gotta make sure it's secure and watch when you're walking through doorways. And then 42s are slightly bigger. This is kind of my sweet spot. It really depends on the lug to lug. If you have longer lugs, you're gonna end up feeling more movement on your wrist. It's not gonna fit as secure. And then small enough, especially the vintage styles, you'll get down to 35, 36. Those will have a lighter weight. Those will have more of a smaller appearance on your wrist. The size of the face really matters to what you're most comfortable with. If you like something small, more vintage, you can go in the lower end. And then if you like to have a larger, more statement piece, you can go on the higher end. So what type of watch is a good one for getting into watches, or a starter watch? There's a lot of different ones out there. There's something as basic as Fossils, which will give you a bit of style at a really affordable price. If that gets you in, that gets you in. People will talk about Invictas. Invictas are homage watches, which are very affordably priced. Not something that you're gonna probably want to continue long term when you get into watch collecting. Then you've got, of course, you've got your Seikos and your Citizens, your Japanese, and they have nice dress watches and also diver, more sport watches. Speaking of which, this was the first watch that got me into watchmaking, which is a Citizen Pro Diver with the Lume dial. And this thing can measure the depth out there. It's a really cool model. It's one of the ones that caught my eye when I was 18 walking by a store, and I decided to just come in and I stretched my funds to spend the $350 to buy it, and that basically got my watch bug started. On the higher end, if you want to get into more entry-level Swiss, you've got stuff like Tissot, you've got some Hamiltons and Oruses, which are very nice models as well. Ball is another one, but that pushes you up to the 1,000 plus range. In the end, think about your budget, what you're comfortable with spending, and the watches that fit into there, and you're definitely gonna find something that fits your style. And if you want to check out a new affordable watch that's selling like crazy, click on this video.